Welcome to frugal.photo, and today I want to talk about a term that often comes up in camera descriptions when cameras are announced. Reviewers mention it a lot, and that is this.
One of the things that was announced with this camera was an improvement in the dynamic range.
Hello everybody, and today we're going to talk dynamic range.
Today we are going to be doing some testing of the dynamic range.
The amazing, incredible dynamic range.
And that's dynamic range.
Has terrible dynamic range.
So what is dynamic range? In photography, it describes the ratio between the minimum and maximum measurable light intensities. Basically, it's the range from white to black. So let's do a demonstration here. I do need some supplies, so let's go get those and then we can continue. Okay, so first of all, you got to think of the world in black and white. Now, these cards that I've collected, these represent the range of light intensities, basically the world in grayscale. Okay, this represents all of the shades from black to white, and this represents your camera. Cameras are only capable of a certain range from dark to white. Anything below here is pure black with no detail. Anything above here is pure white with no detail. And so when you take a picture, what you are really doing is choosing which range of light you want to include in your photo. So if you take a photo with your exposure set here, you'll get all of these ranges. Beyond here is pure white. Anything less will be seen as pure black. Or if you increase your exposure, this will lighten up, and anything above this will be just white with no detail. Anything below here is black with no detail. And so you can kind of determine where you want this range to be by playing around with the exposure on your camera. And so when people are talking about dynamic range in the camera, they're talking about this little section here. How big is this bracket here? Is it a little crappy point and shoot or not so good phone camera? You know, it may be more like this. High-end DSLR, Canon 90D, it could be more like that. And so that is something to take into consideration when you're buying the camera as to how big the dynamic range is, how much of a range can the camera take in from dark to light and still get details in the dark area and details in the light areas. So why is this important? Because traditionally a good photograph is one where you can see detail both in the dark areas and the shadows in the darkest parts of the photograph, as well as in the brightest areas of the photograph. Now, this is especially difficult when there is a huge range between the dark and the light. For instance, sunsets, that's a big one. Often you can either have detail in the landscape or detail in the sky, because there's so much difference in the light, in the amount of light that is in the sky and the amount of light that's on the ground. And so for those of us that are working on a budget, that don't have a lot of income to put into our equipment, we are more likely to be working with less expensive equipment where the dynamic range is not quite so good. So knowing how this affects your photography and knowing how your camera deals with it will allow you to get the best use and the best photos out of your equipment. And that is it for this week. As always, please subscribe and comment and share. And I also have a Patreon account available if you would like to donate, so that I can improve the quality of these videos, as well as purchase more equipment to review and try out for you. Also, I do have some t-shirts for sale that are kind of fun and show the world that you are a frugal photographer. So with that, I will see you next week.